This is a Remo podcast episode number 12. And I'm here with a man from Finland. He's an entrepreneur. He's a former elite soldier, television personality, and then author. He's currently serving as a CEO of Polar Apex. And what they do, he will be able to say. He has served in Finnish SOF. He has served, as far as I understand, based on LinkedIn, in the border guard. And he has done a lot of things in his life. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So was there anything not true, Jan?
No, yeah, everything. So my name is Jan Knutti, 49 years old, gonna be 50 this year, the big 5-0. Yeah, I spent 25 years in the army, or in the service altogether. 16 of them I spent in the teams. About 8 years I spent in the Navy SF, doing Navy SF stuff. Enough deployments for the desert and Africa. So I had the opportunity to enjoy some sun and heat as well. Yes, then I transferred to, pardon me, I have a golf as well. So I spent 8 years, little more, in the Border Guard's 5th intervention unit, which is one of the counterterrorism unit in Finland. Also doing kind of like the Border Guard in Finland is similar kind of, let's put it like in France, they have a GNGN, which is a Santarmi unit, which is underneath the police administration, but has a military duties. And by one order, the Finnish Border Guard will transfer under the command of Finnish Defense Forces. Everyone is belong to SF command in Finland regarding of that. So 16 years over there. So last post before I left from the unit, it was the commanding master diver of the unit.
Mm-hmm. And now after that, what you've done in civilian sector?
After that, I actually left 2000. I applied for my leave of absence. Multiple reasons why I left. One of them is like from the last deployment, I started to have like family issues with the children. So I thought that now it's my time to leave, and I stayed home for 4 months. Applied for the studying for the security related issues, which I managed to do basically online all the time. And at the same time, I applied for the university for the security and risk management bachelor degree, and yeah, I did that. And then I was headhunted for the European Commission, so to speak. Went to the selection for the close protection unit in the European Commission. I had a lot of Estonian colleagues over there, good ones, and I stayed there for the 2 years, and at the same time, actually 3 years, but one of them I was leave of absence from there as well. We founded Polar Apex over here in Finland, and it's supposed to be just 2 guys doing fun, innovative stuff in a garage, but it turned out to be something else, so it escalated pretty quickly to be what it is today, and now we're past the startup phase. So we were the fastest funded startup in Finnish history. And yet again, new arrangements is ongoing as we speak, and it's gonna be a front company of multiple companies, which is owned by one mother company. So it's going to be a bigger cohesion of companies.
So what's the field? What are you doing? What's your products?
So all the products that we're doing at the moment is related on actual needs, what an operators or or conventional army is suffering. We're basically doing stuff to mitigating high temperature, really, really high heats, or really, really cold environments. So we're doing suppressor covers. That has been a really long trip to do what it is now today. And so you can fire, at this stage, you can fire roughly about 6 magazines full auto. Then usually the suppressor gets so hot, so the actual fumes in front of the suppressor starts to burn, or unburned gunpowder stays in the suppressor, and then it starts to burn and melts the cordura on top of it. But even still, you can just detach your suppressor with your bare hands and take it off. We do also handguard covers for the DMR rifles. We made a handguard cover for Sako TRG 62A1 and M10, which actually completely cuts off the mirage effect. Because when Sako did testing with the suppressor cover, they could fire maybe 4 rounds with the new platform, and then the mirage was too much. But with our suppressor cover, they could fire 30 rounds and no effect notable. But then the heat will start to transfer from the barrel until it hits the handguard, and then the mirage starts to come up. So then they called us and asked us to do something about it, and then we made a handguard cover. And yeah, it completely cuts off the mirage. And basically, a good add-on is that it hides the weapon from thermal imaging. And the suppressor, it's really, really, obviously you have to think about the surroundings and the contrast and stuff like that, but it mitigates it almost to zero. But yeah, they've done all the scientific tests for that. And then we did the handguard cover for Sako assault rifle as well, because some countries that has ordered that, they order a really narrow handguard. And then when you fire enough shots with fast splits, then the handguard gets really hot, even with the tactical cloth. So we did that. So that's kind of like attachable. We only need to have the diameters of the used handguard or weapon, and then we can just do it. And you can put all your optics and lasers and lights and whatever, and still you have that. That has also been tested in Beretta in Italy, in Villa Beretta. We went to see those guys and spend the whole day from 9 until 5 o'clock afternoon in research and development department with Beretta, and did a lot of scientific testing to our product. Those are those. And then what I suffered, which most of us has suffered who has been diver, it was my wish to do a diving undergarment which is completely passive and cuts off the cold from the diver 100%. And many companies have tried it, and so we had a solution for that. And then we did it together with Ursuit, the Finnish company, which is owned by Sion in Belgium, a huge company. So Ursuit is doing like dry suits for diving and basic undergarments for life suits and diving. So we did all the designing and provided the raw materials, what was needed, and they did the sewing part and everything. And it has been tested now in Poland and in Finland and Sweden. And actually I sent the package to Hereford today, so the guys can test it over there as well. The thing is, like, we have 2 diving undergarments. Well, one is like a heavy version and one is a light version. The heavy version was tested roughly about, it's a little over a year ago now, I guess, when we had this gas pipe incident between Estonia and Finland. You remember?
Yep.
So our diving undergarment was used to document the injuries over there. So it was 74 meters of depth, 120 minutes dive time with trimix, 4-degree water, 0 coldness penetrated through. and it's completely passive. And the passive is because then we minimize the risk that there's any kind of a technical error or overheating or stuff like that, and it doesn't give away any kind of a electromagnetic signature, which is really crucial for the EOD divers. Otherwise, it would be a Russian way of declaring mines. One diver used, one mine declared. so that's what we do that. And then we also started doing Arctic pilot dress uniforms. They're super light, extra light, because the material that we're using, everything is based on aerogel, and aerogel is the lightest man-made material ever made. It's only 3 times heavier than air. And it just depends on what kind of combining materials you're using it to create a fabric. And what we are using is something different. It doesn't leak aerogel at all. It doesn't have this typical hydrophobic feeling anymore. It's just like stretchable in 4 ways. And the K value of if someone is listening who understands the K values, it's 0.08. So it's absurdly good.
What is
like,
a K value?
It's a value of like air value. It's when it's measured like how good the insulation is.
Okay.
So the smaller the number, the better the value. So it is absurdly good. So we do overalls, paddle dress uniforms, diving undergarments, and then these multi-purpose bags, which are used for the sniper blankets or hides, kind of like a PV bag type of thing. But it also cuts off the hypothermia because it almost creates 100% thermal barrier with the ground and the patient. So the patient doesn't cool down that much anymore. Some of your guys have been testing these products, earlier ones over there as well. So those kind of things. And then the Holy Grail, which is now being done together with the company which merged with us. So it's now part of our company, is that we created a fully functional multispectral fabric, which is like we have 4 products actually on that. So we have a light version that basically we don't create a black box, which is easily done. Black box from hiding from the radar or thermal imaging, it's easily done with just aluminum foil or whatever. But when it comes to radar, it sees the black box and then it's a target. So we can tweak the fabric or the paste that we're using. It's based on a nanocarbon tube paste, which is a trade secret, will never be patented. Some university laboratories in US and Japan managed to do a similar kind of things, but it's just deciliters or maximum of 1 liter of that, then we can create tons of that. We can code fabrics by kilometers at this stage. So that's the light versions. It has the radar.
So it's European made.
Yes, it's Finnish made, and it's always
Finnish made.
Will always be Finnish made.
That's awesome.
So it's and we are state of the art. We are actually in the tip of the spear in this area. So basically, the light version has just radar and NIR. Then we have a product X, which is like double side. Then it also mitigates really good thermal picture or image. It doesn't print your figure over there. It slowly starts to absorb the heat, but it never prints the figure or whatever over there, and it completely hides you from the radar. And I have the scientific papers that I can just send you later if you want to validate this, but everything has been done in the supervision or guidance of the Finnish R&D Institute for the Defense Forces. But it's our product and we own it because in Finland, Army can't pay any R&D. Then we have a full multispectral, which is already combined with different layering. It's not the most flexible of fabric, but it's still light, like 580 grams per square meters. But then it completely hides you from all known sensors. And it mitigates massively also your electromagnetic signature. So radar, all visible, all invisible lights, thermal imaging, and EMC. And then we have the last, which is for vehicles or containers or ships. It's called RAM panels, which is radar observer panels or radar observer material panels. We can do different sizes, 50 by 50 centimeters or 50 by 150 centimeters. Panels that completes you. Let's put it like that. If for some reason, some navy, for example, would put it on their ships, on the upper part of the decks, it massively basically mitigates the radar signature, so it doesn't look like a huge ship on the scene. Obviously, we can't do anything for the visual on that, but they're not looking for that. But we can hide tanks. Different project with different armies going on as we speak. Yeah, and we're not just like with the fabric. We're not just like I said, hiding it. So we can tweak it, like I was saying. Like for example, Finnish forest basically gives back something between 10 and 14 decibels from the radar. So our fabric, it's not just hiding, it's blending. So basically it gives back the exact same decibel as your surroundings. So we can do it for desert, we can do it for Finnish forest, we can do it for Finnish wetlands, we can do it for water. We can do
every possible environment.
Every possible environment, as long as we know how much the end user wants the fabric to give back decibels. So and then we have one new product coming up, which I cannot tell you at this moment because the patenting process and IP protecting process is still ongoing. But quite a lot of things is happening. So when I told you first that I might look really tired, it's because I'm fucking tired. So,
yeah, it's very it sounds good. You know, I think that listening from this, then I can tell you that the 49 years of your life, they have been used purposefully.
Yes.
And it seems like you know your shit. And that's why I think it's very important for whoever is the end user to understand who you are. And you have to understand that, because I usually was, I would say, the opposite. I was just using it. Give it to me and I will make it work. And then also we had like the Defense League guys who were like super into the fabrics, super into the companies who are producing this type of, I don't know, pants or whatever the gear. I just took what the military gave me and went with it. But I can see that there are so many people who actually know this stuff, and it's good that I think now it's a time in Europe where, or maybe even past 10 years, but it wasn't there before, where the people who have served for a decent amount of time and has decent amount of experience on a field, they are becoming something in the civilian sector. So we have an actual end users who have been, or we have the actual owners of the companies or people who are running the companies who actually have been on the front lines themselves. And I think it wasn't possible 20 years ago.
No, it wasn't. No.
Yeah. So that's something what has changed at the moment a lot, I think.
Yeah. For example, my past 49 years, basically that I know my purpose. I didn't know my purpose. It basically it started for me helping this old couple from Holland, for helping them. I already had a CrossFit gym. I already had a company that we were doing IR, or basically zero light photographing. I was in a unit and I was building a house, and I had 2 small children, and I still started helping for them. And my wife actually asked one time over there, that, do you get anything back from this? I was like, no, maybe karma will pay it back. But basically, I guess it did, but nothing happened because it was just good luck or something like that. Everything had to be done. I had to risk everything. So I had to quit my job in the European Union in a really good paid close protection unit, probably the best paid job in the close protection area in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
To start to be a full-time entrepreneur with zero paid, and took the huge risk. But that's also not just my risk; it's my family's risk as well. But as long as you believe your product and you know you're gonna do whatever it takes to get it done, then it's an easy choice.
Mm-hmm.
But I never was so stressful in the unit, even in the worst situations in let's say it like in Afghanistan, I didn't have that much gray hair coming to my fucking head than I had it in a couple of years of being entrepreneur. But that's the price that you have to pay.
I agree. So I think we can get to that part. Let's wind back a little bit. So what was Finland like, say, 40 years ago, and what were you doing in that world when you were like 8, 7, 10, whatever?
Yeah. So I grew up in the eastern part of the Finland in Kotka and Kouvola area, so to speak. So not the wealthiest part of Finland. So obviously it was a depression, I guess, at that time, or it was starting. My parents, I was not in. It's a typical story. So basically, I had an abusing father, drinking a lot when he was a lot, beating my mom, beating me. And it took 10 years to my mom to divorce him. And basically, then I was a couple of years alone with her, and then my stepdad came in, and he's now a chief inspector in the Finnish police. Basically, that put me in the right track, I guess. Thanks for that, Ilkka, if you ever listen to this show. But so not the easiest place to grow up. We moved to Kotka, which is really close to the Russian border, maybe 70 kilometers. So at that time, it was not a nice place to grow up. A lot of unhealthy environment. It was. Yeah, but I still had my really good friends. At that time, there was a couple of groups when I was hanging out. One of them was more like maybe after 10 until 12 to 15, 17. I was hanging out with the group who I actually made a girl also. Maybe that was influencing that as well. So I made a really good choice choosing my friends, right? Obviously, I was already apart with this other group of boys, which were doing something different. So it was just
wrong things.
Balancing with that I would be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and my dad or stepdad would come in, and that would be a major issue in every way. But luckily it never went to that. So basically on that time that there was kind of like choices that you could make. You could work in the factories, which were like paper factories or in a harbor. Or you could be a soldier, police, or firefighter, or you could be a criminal. But those were the options at that time. So for me, it was then when I went to do my conscript service. I guess I was 19.
So before we go to the conscript service, what was school like? So you, as I understand, you were the only sibling, right?
Yeah. I was at the time I was only. School was never my thing. Obviously, I had dyslexia as well. So, and at that time, you didn't have like these substitute teachers or people helping, children in the distress in the classroom. So it was just you and fucking 30 other students over there. And either you kept up or then you were put to the special class, and I was put to the special class. So basically
you were already special back then.
I was already special. Like my mom always said, I'm special. So it was never my thing. It was I liked studying like histories and everything like that. But obviously, then I had really good like photographic memory. That came up when I was maybe 7, when my mother was asking me how that read me your homework. So I always learned it by heart in the classroom, so I could remember everything word by word for whatever I needed to read in the APC book or whatever it's called.
That's a good thing to have.
Yeah. But it basically crowed on me. So, but then when she started to put like her finger in the lines that I needed to read, and she noticed that I was going completely wrong words, but the sentences were completely right, but the timing was completely wrong. So then I was caught with the dyslexia, and I had to kind of like put a lot of effort to get it off. It's not completely gone. I guess it never will be completely gone, but then at some point I started reading quite a lot. So just to get the reading and writing easier. Now it's.
Did you do any sports?
Yes.
Did you like that?
Yeah. I was kind of like I was skateboarding quite a lot at the time, and then I was in from maybe 7 years until 10 years old. I played ice hockey, and then I went to the judo. Then I went to Sukokai karate, and then started boxing until maybe 17, 15 when I stopped. Then the girls took all my time. So basically it was kind of like that. Yeah, I did a lot of sports, and I'm an enthusiastic downhill skier still, but I did that all winter, every day after school. Yeah.
So you have the photographic memory, and you wanted to do sports. So you were running around. You had a previously not the perfect situation from home.
Yeah.
Which seems to be a perfect fit for where you have eventually ended up in.
Well, I guess many of us has the same thing. It doesn't matter of nationality. So I don't know. Are they actually looking for us? Is it like a psych profile, broken home, or whatever? Okay, he's gonna be an operator. But
yeah. So one our commander, he had this saying, or at least I don't know where he heard it from, but who we needed in the unit were people with doctor's degree, bar fighters.
Yeah.
Like people who are willing to go in and do bar fights, and they have to be smart as well.
Yeah.
So you kind of had it in some ways or forms.
Yeah, maybe. But I kind of like the thing that with that dyslexia, kind of like it stuck with me quite many years. Me kind of like admiring people who had like university degree, and that also kind of like helped me, pushed me on wherever I ended up being. It was kind of like, because I kind of like started to feel like that, okay, I'm not that smart, so I have to compensate on something. So I always compensated by being the toughest. So basically, yeah, in that area of Kotka, still some dudes who are also 49 or something like that, they still remember, like, do you remember Jani in the young days when shit hits the fan? He was always fighting.
So was there a lot of that? Or what was the kind of craziest things where shit hit the fan when you were a teenager?
Yeah, basically, well, at that time we didn't have any gangs, so to speak, but you have your groups of your friends and whatever.
Yeah.
And then you went to hang out in the city and just drink alcohol, get wasted, and end up fighting and stupid teenager stuff.
Yeah. So in high school, was it a struggle to finish it?
Yes, it was really a struggle to finish it. And then but basically I managed to get through all these all the schools, like line, like still like dangling. And yeah, all of that. I studied to be a chef, graduated from culinary school from Perho, which is a private like school, still like really highly valued in the European culinary school community.
What was your age then?
I was 19 or 20. Yeah, I did my first class twice, so we
took more time.
Yes, it took more time. I don't know, did it help anything? But I still did it.
And during the time, still fighting, or like trying to doing martial arts or any sports, or that's something.
Yeah, I did sports, but I didn't do any competitive sports at that time. It was just like kind of like the studying. I was partying quite a lot with the friends because the school was in Helsinki, so that was the first time I ever moved out from my parents' house. So it was.
But for what if you had to put why did you do sports? Someone introduced you to sports in general, or that was the thing?
My dad introduced me to the sport. Obviously, the family, all of my uncles with my real dad's brothers, they all played ice hockey in a competitive or semi-competitive level. So it was always a part of the like both of the families. So it never was kind of like. It was not the thing like it is in our family. Like my kids are all competitive in highly competitive way, obviously, but they can't be anything else except because the both parents are what they are. But my mom was kind of like walking and riding a bike, but my dad was more like running and doing physical stuff. And then he introduced me to like all these compact sports, and then I did quite a lot of boxing, but I was never really good because I'm quite a heavy guy for it, and I'm not that tall like everyone else in my weight class, so I was basically beat up every time. If I couldn't get close, kind of like I always had to close the gap, so I was basically running after in the ring for everyone else, and if they were really good, then I was basically beat up. Because I couldn't catch them and they were fast.
You were humbled.
Yeah, I was humbled. Yeah.
Humble beginnings.
Yes.
That's what I always saying. Like with me, it was very easy to be humble in the unit because I was always the smallest.
Yeah.
And when we get to the mats, everyone is going to will provide me the punishment based on how good was my relationship with them from the mats. So I always had to build a relationship with people because I knew that eventually every week we have to go to the mats and I will lose. So I better have a good relationship with everyone.
Yeah. Be socially gifted.
Absolutely. That's the only way. At least you're able to provide something for the team.
Yeah.
So was there anyone in your history in the military in some way or form?
In my family?
Yeah.
No, none. Actually, my dad's family came from Switzerland to Finland late 1800s to make cheese. So they only had Swiss citizenship. I have dual citizenship, but it was a kind of surprise for me when I was 17, and that paper fell from the post to the floor, and it says like you're drafted. Like what the fuck? I was long hair, like I don't have to go to the army. I'm Swiss. And then my stepdad just like open up the envelope and called to the local office, and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna open up. Yeah, Over here, our paper it says that the boy is Finnish, and it was actually on the 75 when I was born. I think the law was changed that automatically when the parents weren't like married, like mine was when I was born, the child will automatically be the Finnish citizenship if the mother is from Finland. So, but no one ever applied for me the passport except my dad, and because I was registered in Switzerland as well. So I always had my Swiss passport only. So it was kind of surprise on age of 17 that I will be the first man in our family to do the conscript service and step in the military service.
So, and now when that happened, how long did it took to get?
So that happened basically. I was 95. I started my conscript service. So basically, it was 93 when I received the letter. So I was drafted. So I had to go to the.
So how is the process in Finland? Like you can choose when you go. You go after learning, or what's the case?
Yeah, you'll get the invitation for these drafting things, which are held yearly by the age classes. I guess it goes exactly the same day, like nowadays, and then you can have your options over there. Okay, you can have like I want to be in the army, land forces. I wanna do my conscript service in Lapland in Jaeger Brigade or whatever. You can wish those things, but nothing is 100% guaranteed. Usually they try to put people in if they're like from Helsinki, so they want to put them closely to Helsinki or whatever. If you don't wish to go somewhere else, and if you want to apply to the SF, like paratroopers in Utti Regiment or combat diving in Upiniemi, then in Helsinki or Kirkkonummi, then if you want to do that you have to apply separately. And then
those options are like provided to you. These are the options.
Everything is provided to you, and you can choose, and then you can either already choose like maybe that I want to do 1 year of service, or that means that you're gonna be an NCO if you have the capabilities, or I just want to finish as quickly as if I can, like 6 months or whatever. But at that time it was kind of like 11 months was the service time.
Do you get paid anything?
Yeah, a couple of euros a day or marks at that time. So it's just like a daily allowance. Which
it was same.
Which was nothing like real daily allowance.
Yeah, I think in Estonia when it started, then the conscript service they got paid in a month, 9 euros.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
I can't remember, but
yeah. So it was same with me. Funny enough, I forgot to when I was studying in school, and then I forgot to sign a paper, which then postpones your conscript service like until the end of your learnings or whatever, or studying. I forgot to sign the paper, and then I had to go.
Okay.
And eventually I found out myself in conscript service. And then everything changed. So what was now you had to go there. You had finished your culinary school, right?
Yeah.
And then now it's the time to go to not cook anymore. So what did you choose? What are things in your mind?
I chose to go to, it's like one of the biggest brigade in area. It's called Vekarajärvi, which is the land forces, like army. So it's a huge brigade, but it has all of the army's capabilities. So I went infantry.
And it was like what made you choose that?
I don't know.
Idea.
Maybe my friends, because there was like at least 3 of my friends started at the same time, and we all choose to be part of the infantry. So, and then we were put to the company that actually had this opportunity to apply to be a military police, and that started to feel like, okay, that might be a good thing, like a little bit special, and so you can beat up your conscript friends when they come back from the holidays if they're drunk. Anyway, but it's you know there was rappelling, shooting with pistols, stuff like that. Something that the normal conscript guys couldn't do, and it was still not like SF. So I chose that. So I went there. It was July '95. Yeah, did the first part of the service over there in Vekarajärvi, which is the brigade. And I can't remember how many months it took, maybe 2 months or something like that, 3 months. And
Basic
then,
training.
Yeah, and then after that, there was this possibility to apply for the reservist officer school or NCO school, and I was aiming to get to the reservist officer school. But there was one guy who had 1 point more than me, and we only had one place in the platoon. So then it was him, and then I went to the NCO school, which turned out to be a good thing. So maybe it was something after Christmas, early January or something like that, when the NCO schools was finished, and we went to do our last of our service in the brigade again, working as a military police. And then we did like actual guarding stuff also, with but a lot of training and exercises as well. And I on that time I actually learned that I'm actually pretty good of what I'm doing, and I'm definitely enjoying it quite a lot, and it feels something that it's fun. So it basically grew on me on that 1 year.
Yeah. So yeah, you got structure. You had already been through shit.
Yeah.
So now someone provided you rules.
Yeah.
You followed the rules, and things happened.
Yeah. It was
Makes
quite
sense.
easy. Yeah.
Exactly.
I was happy, and then after that I worked as a chef in a couple of restaurants in Kotka. But I was immediately after that I was applying to be back in the service. At that time you had to apply for a staff sergeant's position in the platoons, and I applied because Kotka had this like a part of like a Marines company with light mortars and infantry. Infantry company with light mortars with the Marines, and then like coastal artillery place, and I applied for that, and they didn't have the place, but I just kept bombing the HR as long as they basically like, okay, we have to create a place for this man because he is rentless, and I'm not going to answer the phone anymore and tell him that we don't have an opening. And then they hired me.
What was the overall back at that time, like 96? Like, was Finnish army deployed, or what were they doing? Were they at home mostly, or what was the overall perception from the public?
I don't know. So like overall, like almost everyone went. There was not a lot of people that didn't go to the service. There was like the civil service choice if you wanted to do civil service. But it was minimum of 13 months, and you couldn't choose your place, and you could end up of doing anything, or you could completely turn out everything, and then you would spend time in the jail. And we still have that going on, I guess, and this is something that European Union or human rights groups are still struggling to get it off. If people don't want to go, that you wouldn't be placed in a prison, but that's, I guess, how it is even today. I'm not completely sure.
Yeah, in Estonia you get fined. If you eventually don't do those things, then eventually, yes, you get criminal punishment.
Yeah. It's the same here. And then, so we had like plenty of peacekeeping missions going on at that time, South Lebanon, different places. Quite a lot of peacekeepers compared to the population was out. So usually when you went to the trainer or staff sergeant's position, it was kind of like that you openly let everyone know that either you go to the cadet school or you apply for the cadet school, or in the university, or you go to the enlisted officer school to do that 2.5 years. And that was basically it was my thing that I was thinking about. Yeah, maybe that sounds good. But then I started like feeling that maybe I'll just apply first for the peacekeeping things. Maybe I can, if I can, and then I'll do a 1 year over there and see how that ends up. Maybe I'll go to the school after that. So I applied for the mission in South Lebanon, and I was accepted, and I started my tour in South Lebanon in 1997. That was my first deployment.
So what, you were 22?
22, I guess, yeah. 1 year.
So how was that?
Well, it was quite an experience because it was, at that time there was plenty of shelling and shooting and Israelis and can't remember the mercenaries army name, South Lebanese army it was called, but they were basically like mercenaries for Israelis. So they did quite a lot of fighting with Hamas and Hezbollah, and so there was plenty of
same guys.
Yeah, still going on. Yeah. But it was quite nice when the first night that we arrived over there, we were inside of the Pasi, and we were driving through Wadi, and you could hear these shelling coming in like boom, boom, boom. So it was a different kind of a start. So usually it stopped, but it was not like daily. But many times in a week there was plenty of like Israelis were shooting with big heavy weapons.
So it was pretty much you being shot at and you can't shoot anyone. Yeah,
we were kind of like, they were not purposely targeting on you and on that time, but as you know, like these groups that still has these things going on in South Lebanon and Syria or whatever, they tend to go close to the civilian target or close to the targets that Israelis can't fire, and then they will fire their Katyusha or whatever. So there was plenty of things when they came and fired rockets and whatever close to the UN station, and then Israeli usually they fired back. So we. So
what was it? A year?
1997, 1998.
Was it a year-long deployment, or how long was it?
Yes. It was always a year-long deployment, because we could buy a year-long deployment. You can buy a tax-free car. So that was the thing. So everyone wanted to stay a year because everyone wanted to have that car.
It's by the Finnish kind of.
Yeah. We bought a car from Finland. Some bought cars from Israel, but I bought my car from Finland and then put it in the ship. It was shipped to Haifa in Israel, and we picked it up, and we had this like own parking lot for the cars, where everyone had their own cars, and you can go and have your days off on whatever it was called, and drive around in somewhere close Israel and get the feeling of your new car. But it was kind of stupid, but it was a kind of like a really good, like an Apple to get people.
Yeah, for young men.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It was extremely no VATs, diplomatic discounts, everything related to that. It was more than half a price. So, and or if you spend your money right, you ended up paying it almost completely off before you came back from the deployment. So
there was not much possibility to make money.
No, I didn't.
So how much was the pay in the military back then?
Okay. Well, I don't know. Maybe my salary was big. I think there was it was still marks. It was not euros.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe it was something like less than 4,000 marks.
Yeah.
So 3,000.
It's like 150 euros.
Yeah, it's kind of like 1 mark or €1 is like 6 marks if you divide it by 6, so you get it. So it was not that much. So,
all right.
but
So
in the deployments you did get the daily allowance, which was tax free, and then maybe the basic salary was something like 4,000. I can't remember. It depends on your rank and the position you were.
So what was the most significant event for you that you can remember from that deployment?
Basically, the shame of the soldier. I made a promise to myself that I will stop this kind of a job because I'm never wanna be so ashamed like I am now.
And what was the reason behind that?
No, it was kind of like things like we were placed in a village called Et Taibe, which was really close to Israel, or the occupied area of Lebanon. So we were there protecting these, let's say, villages. Obviously, we didn't know anything or everything regarding to every people, but you get to know the people in the village pretty well. And then these SLI, or whatever it was called, South Lebanese Army guys, with Israelis, they came to the village and they, I don't know, randomly or whoever ratted out, how you know how it goes, like someone rats you out because he doesn't like you, you end up in a fucking prison which was called Al-Qiyam, which is one of the top worst places to be in the world. And I remember that day when we were there, like blocking the road from the Israelis, and you could see the people in the car, and they were kind of like hoping you that you just take them off from the car, and they were kind of like pointing their M16s or whatever they had at the time. Everyone was yelling in the checkpoint and whatever, and eventually it went to that captain or whoever who was there basically shit on himself because the mandate gave us the permit to stop that thing happening. And I was a sniper in the top of the roof, and so and I could just see the people who were fucking in a complete panic. And that they know that some of them won't come back at all. Some of them will be really, really, really in the bad conditions when they come back, because it was just 100% torture and stuff like that. So, but then
there was nothing you can do about it.
There was nothing I could do about it, and then they basically just let them go. They took it. And some never came back.
Yeah.
Some came back, and the stories that we started hearing what they had been put through, it was just like it was really, really bad. So
it felt like pretty pointless, right?
Yeah, it felt completely pointless. So I was questioning what I'm doing here, why I am actually here. So basically, your motivation, what you had, it just crumbled, basically completely.
So you get back with the disappointment, pretty much.
Yeah, I did. And then I came back. I was a couple of months maybe off in Finland.
How was that time?
Well, it was just like me partying quite a lot, looking for my place. And then I applied for the Finnish Coast Guard.
Because you thought that this one was pointless.
Yeah, because that was pointless. And then it kind of like I had friends in the Coast Guard, and they were kind of like, oh, it's a really good job, you know. You get a lot of free time, and you get to drive nice boats and do this and that, and you can spend your time in the Coast Guard stations, and no one is really like watching too closely on your back. What are you doing? And you get the freedom of doing stuff and whatever. So it basically, and you're basically a police officer with the military duties. And I applied over there. I didn't manage to get through the selection because of this dyslexia or whatever. I had really difficulties of learning Swedish. So then kind of like turned to my dad, who was at that time, I guess he was already a police captain or something like that. I don't know how it's commissioner. So to like, do you have any connections over there in I was like, yeah, I might have. And with his help, I was then accepted. Thanks for that yet again, Dad. So, and then I started working on there maybe October 1998, something like that, November. So, and that was that year before I went to the Border Guard Academy. It was nice because at that time you were hired directly for the Border Guard, and then you learned your stuff early in, on the work. The older dudes, they teach you how to do your job or whatever, and you get to be in the ship, you get to be in the station, you get to be in passport controls, whatever, all of those in 1 year.
But and you were already like a different type of guy because you already had deployed. You had been kind of at least shelled at, or was everyone around there with similar background, or you were the only one?
There were some who had these so-called peacekeeping missions or whatever, but mostly didn't. So, but I didn't consider myself any kind of
special.
So I had seen a lot of dead people and dying and misery. In that place, you just saw it, want it or not, so it was there. So, but yeah, I was there. I enjoyed that time. It was nice, and then the year-long study in the Border Guard Academy started, and that's like a couple of kilometers away. It's in Imatra, which is even farther than Lappeenranta, closer to the border, maybe 20 kilometers or 17 kilometers from the border, or 15. So then basically ended up spending 1 year over there, studying all these typical studies, the Border Guard studies compared to just like a police studies. Is in the police they have to study like this criminal law. I can't remember which is the esitutkinta law, but it means like when you're doing like investigating stuff. And a couple of others, but we had to do those obviously because we had the same mandate. But then we had to do the border law, passport law, hunting law. So it's quite a lot
stuff.
Quite a lot of like reading,
customs and stuff like that.
Customs and stuff like everything. So, so a lot of reading, a lot of stuff. So, but it was another bad year, but it was not something that I miss or. But eventually it ended up being a good thing for me. So, yeah. That was my 1998, 99.
What happened after that?
1999, I was immediately after graduation, I was transferred from the Coast Guard ship where I was still signed. I was transferred to Helsinki-Vantaa Airport to do the passport control, which was fucking the worst place ever to be as a young guy who still had something. Maybe in its mind, it was fucking awful.
Yeah, I can at the moment visualize you being in airport doing that job. Yeah. I think it suits you very well.
Passport and boarding pass, please. Passport and boarding pass, please. And basically there was a lot of people were just misusing this like sick days because everyone was burned out because we were too little and and shifts were really long, and then you had standby, and then when you finished your 12-hour shift, you just ended up going home, and then you were called back, and then you did like another 10-hour or 8-hour shift, and you slept in a bunker underneath the Helsinki airport, and basically it was
misery.
It was fucking misery, and then the same place in Kotka, where I started my staff sergeant place, they had an opening coming up for a military police, for a chief of guard place, and I applied on that, and they hired me. So then I remember really well when I went to see he's still like they're officers in the border guard, even though, but they're like in these police status places. But this officer, I can't remember his name. Maybe it was Kummala. Yeah, but can't remember, commander, captain, or whatever. So he asked me, so why is a young, really good man leaving from such a nice place? And I told him directly that if I feel like every morning when I wake up and I know I have to go to work, it feels like fucking aneurysm is blowing up in my brain, then I think I'm in the wrong place. And he told me that, yeah, it was really.
It's about right.
Yeah, it's about right. And if you ever wanna come back, there's always an opening, and it's like, I highly doubt that, sir. But thank you for offering.
That seems like a good leader. So how was your experience in terms of people around you, in terms of leadership by that time? What did you see? Did you see rather good stuff, or you already had experienced some bad leaders as well?
Well, obviously bad. Well, it at that time it was easier to meet a bad leader than a good leader.
Okay.
So everything was still like really old school, like, which was already in the 40s in a good means of leadership, was like fucking scaring people and threatening. So that was the leadership attitude over there. Okay, we started to have these new educational system regarding of leadership, maybe early 2000s or 1998, 99, something like that. I think it was called like deep leadership or whatever, when you were more involved with you were not just a person telling people to do stuff. You were always like
actually leading
and being part of earning your stripes, so to speak, by doing it yourself. But yeah.
What was the contracts like? Did you had to sign for like a 5-year? You have to stay in there or no?
No. It's for example, it's for the border guard. It's when you sign the paper, you're in forever. If you stay, if you don't get fired, then you really have to work hard to get fired.
Okay, so it's hard to get out without a good reason.
No, you can get out. You can quit any day, but
okay.
But just. You can also stay there for not doing anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically, because you're a government official, and they have to have a really good reason for kicking you out.
So you get out from the airport gig. What's next for you?
So I started working for military police in this coastal area of Kotka as a guard chief, and that was quite nice. We had a nice group of guys over there working. I think there was five of us as a guard chiefs, and then we had a bunch of conscripts, like one platoon or two platoons. One was in training and one was in doing guard duty. That was quite nice. And you did your shift, which was basically always 24 hours. So basically you managed to do your physical training really good because you had the good facilities, and did your training when, if I wanted to shoot every day, I could just shoot every day. So I did a lot of shooting and I did a lot of physical training. and you had your own freedom of doing stuff as long as you did the requirement tours in areas and places that you had to check. So that was quite nice, and the paycheck was was quite good at that time on that, because you were paid by every shift. You were paid like 16 hours and 8 like extra hours. That meant that it was paid 100%. Over hour, yeah. So we made a decent amount of money, and you ended up having like, in the 3 weeks schedule, you might have like 7 shifts, and the rest of it was free. And I ended up doing also bartendering at that time then. So because I'm a restless guy, so
did you have family already or no?
No. I was just like, I had a girlfriend, on and off, couple of girlfriends at that time, and I ended up doing bartendering. And
so it sounds funny. You're working for government, and then part time you're also doing bartending.
Yeah, and it was kind of like that. But I was young and it was fun.
Yeah.
So there was plenty fish in the sea to eat on when you're in the bar working as a bartender, and it's a good place, which is really popular. So that was an easy picking.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are a military guy.
Yeah.
You have been overseas.
In a good shape, so it was fun.
So what's the next major thing, or how long were you in that position?
So I transferred, I think it was 1st of January 2000. Yeah. Or something like, or 3rd of January or something like that. On 2000 I started working over there, and I did that for 3 years. And
during the time, the war started as well in the Middle East, right?
Yeah. It started when I stopped. Actually, I was in a rotation training when the Iraq kicked in. So I did 3 years of that, and then I had a breakup with my girlfriend on that time, and then I already had so many years had passed by already that kind of like the guilt and the shame of the soldier was kind of like vanishing. So then I started, because we had this thing going on in Kosovo. So I applied for the new mission to go to the Kosovo for 1 year. And I was accepted, and I started my rotation training maybe February 2003 or something like that, January or February, whatever, I can't remember. But then the invasion of Iraq started, and I remember watching it on the news, and I was like feeling the fuck, and I'm like, I'm here, and shit is happening over there. So
nothing much happened in Kosovo either, right?
Nothing much happening, and I was going there as an international military police, stationed in army headquarters or the whole Kosovo headquarters in Pristina.
And again, you must feel pretty disappointed.
Yeah, well, that was kind of like it was a good year, so to speak. I met my wife just before on maybe it was Christmas time or something like that. Yeah, Christmas parties in the place where I was bartendering.
So it was a good thing that you went to bartending for sure.
Yeah. So, but that's the story that, like, if the kids ever ask for me, how do you met your mom? So it's kind of like that's not a story for the children.
Okay, sounds good.
So basically, me ending up being naked dressed like in a Santa Claus, hammered as
a man can be.
Yeah. But it was a good party anyway. So, but then I went to the rotation training, did that. I was deployed in April 2003 in Pristina. There was already 2 Finnish guys that I knew already as an MP over there in the International Military Police Station. So we, all of us, we were like chief leaders over there. We had like Danish guy who was leading the police station, and then we had different nationalities like Turkish, 0 English, yes, 1 box of Marlboro, and some other nations, but then Irish and then Americans. But I started to hang out with Americans, like basically I hang out with Americans for the whole year, like completely. The thing was kind of like everyone else was in a 4 months rotation or something like that. And you just get to know the people and then they leave. And again, and you know, you did that couple of times and you basically, on the last time I was like, fuck, I don't want to get to know anyone anymore because it's just like stupid. And I was lifting weights and wrestling quite a lot at that time. I was in a really good shape last year. I had a goal of my personal goal, being in the best shape of my life on this year, but I think it was last year because it has been so busy. But at that time I was in a really good shape. So then I just started because I could go anywhere, do anything. No one was controlling me. I had all the joker cards, whatever, entering any camp, anywhere, anytime, doing anything. So I ended up just like doing my shift, and then I ended up spending the rest of my free time, I ended up spending in Camp Ville, where the Finnish guys were in the close by. And then I had friends and guys that I know, they were already in SF detachment, which was quite small. So I ended up.
What did you know about them and what they were doing at that time?
Yeah, I knew they existed. I think the first courses were rolled out in the early 2000s, and I knew dudes from there. And then basically I just went to hang out with them. And I already started to like talk shit that I'm just gonna fucking apply for the Navy diving. And I did that so enormously lot, so I couldn't back down anymore, or I would lose my face. So and so I hang out with them for the rest of the deployment. Get to know what they did over a lot of like recognitions and stuff like that, like real stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm an alcohol supervising one-man patrol whose only job is to supervise if you're doing soft lifting in the PX shops or doing your like shooting when you're empty your weapon or
you're a security guy in a shop in Walmart.
Or being too drunk. And I never did anything for the being too drunk. I was always like, I'm gonna give you a strong verbalic like notice that this would be your last time, and I always let everyone go to the bed because my thing was kind of like if I give and if I'm being dick, I'm completely alone because I have no friends. So there were people who were doing and following the book like precisely, giving the maximum penalties and getting people basically in the trouble when papers were sent to shape. You know, your officer career or whatever, it took a really big bump. I never had like really much of respect for that kind of officers, but still kind of like the thing is that you don't do that stuff very lightly. So I always was kind of like this is your last warning, and I think you should now go to the bed. But I was also I was 112 kilos of pure muscle, fucking looked like a Marvel figure. So
like the villain.
Yes. Yeah. No hair at all at that time, so completely bald and neck like a bull. So yeah, but then I hang out with them and basically run my mouth so much that I couldn't back down. my deployment end on year after that, so April 2004. So I started immediately running and swimming every day. Like every day. I remember me and my wife, at the time she was my girlfriend, we moved to Helsinki. She started the university studies over here. So we went running across the Duress Bay, whatever is the small bay or palm or whatever it is in Helsinki, middle of Helsinki. And I was like running like a meat truck over there, like gasping out, and she was running and talking. I was like, shut up. No one talks when they're running, and that went on in a way that when she was riding a bike and I was running, and I did every day running and swimming, and I already had a really decent swimming technique because I had a really good coach in the Coast Guard school teaching the swimming techniques and whatever, so it was not so yeah.
So where do you think you got this consistency of doing things every day?
I don't know. Maybe it was because I was fearing of losing my face in front of my friends.
Yeah. So accountability in front of everyone else.
Yeah, which is basically what it is in a small group, small unit.
Yeah.
The cohesion is really big. So then I did that, and October 2004 I took the selection in the Navy SF, and I managed to get through everything. So there was like this Cooper's test, 3,000 fail passed, and then all the dry like pull-ups and hanging and sit-ups and whatever, bench press, stuff like that. And then the wet was like in a pool, like diving 25 to 50 meters, 6 meter like pickup in a
mask.
time. Yeah, and then 4 meters pickup and 4 meters shirts and surprise test in a 6 meter tank where you have to assemble an RK 95 in over there in the bottom and stuff like that. So and then the only thing what was really hard for me was that 15 kilometers run with the 15 kilometers of rucksack in your back.
Yeah.
And an absolute like fail pass timeline was 100 minutes. So I basically ended up running it with 96 or 94, whatever it was, but it was close. It was close, and I managed to get 1 point, but because I get so many points on all of those wets, and everyone else, everything regarding of physical side on the gym side went really through, so I managed to get enough points to pass that, and then I went to the physical checkups and diving checkups and chambers and whatever. And
so it was more like a qualification for if you have the physical toughness.
Yeah, physical
and
toughness, physical toughness, skills, and an endurance, and then all that you don't have any physical issues that prevents you being diver, which is quite a big cutoff. Even nowadays, it's kind of like there's a really good guys, but then they found something in your lung or whatever reason you're panicking in the chamber. I remember first time I went to the chamber, and I was just like, okay, we're gonna dive 51 meter step really fast, and then you do these. We had like these tests to be done over there. And I was just thinking, like, don't panic, fucking don't panic. And I remember when your ears go like whoop, and then falls and whoop, whoop, whoop. You get it, and it's like you start to feel like really hot air and like. And I remember just like, don't panic. And then
panic doesn't help you at all.
Yeah, it doesn't help you at all. But that's kind of like the thing is. That was my first time. No one really taught you anything before that, how it feels and whatever it is. But I ended up being in a chamber many times later on, so it was quite familiar after that. But
So the selection was pretty much that in a pool. So there was no, I don't know, 2 weeks in hell type of things.
No.
At that time.
No, this is like a pre-selection, basically selection. It goes. I guess it goes the same way now. Like, let's say that like 100 men or whoever these days can send their application. Usually 60 to something will be invited to take the part of the selection or pre-selection. Okay. And then from then 20 of the best will be starting. Okay. And the course is 100% all the time. People will drop out, just like a QQ course or whatever. Even in conscript service, if it's a really, really good year, maybe from 20, maybe 15 will graduate. But mostly it varies between 10 and 15 or something like that. If 20 will start, 10 will graduate. And then from those 10, like I was, and then I was offered to take part for the real course, which is now like Special Forces basic training course.
How was that?
Well, it was rough, obviously.
Suckfest?
Suckfest, yeah. Suckfest, and then maybe in a group, it was not like a unit at that time in the Navy. It was just a group or detachment, let's say it like that, SF detachment. So maybe there were 5 guys, 5 guys before me. And then me, Juhani, Tero, Sami, at least 4 of us came from the same course. And there was already Tapio, Tapsa, and some of the guys, they were already there. So they graduated 1 year before us. So basically after that, I guess when we graduated from that Suckfest, I think the total number of us being there in 2006 was 8 operators. Obviously, we had a platoon already, like full-size platoon in the army, but that was it. It was not the company. It was.
Yeah, small amount of men.
Small amount of men, and it was 8 of us in the Navy SF. So
you must have then feel special.
No, that's the thing, that this is what I tell everyone nowadays, that it really doesn't feel special because you're always surrounded by a better person, more capable person, more smarter than you, more faster than you, because you're always comparing yourself for the people who you surround yourself. So you don't really feel special. So, and maybe if you get cocky or arrogant or whatever, then you can, maybe you feel, I don't have that, but the thing is kind of like, that's how it is. So, and it's really hard to see yourself outside of that bubble. You don't even recognize your value because you're in that bubble. So
yeah,
which
is a good thing.
Yeah, you're an average dude.
Yeah, amongst beasts.
Yeah. But yeah, then I started working over there in basically 2006.
And then what happened next? Then you were starting to actually work for deploying, or what happened then? No.
Yeah, we did a lot of training training in different places, Norway, Germany.
I can imagine that you had a lot of freedom.
We did, which is what good.
Very little bureaucracy.
Yeah, because we were
first guys in.
Yeah, we were first guys in, and we had like a lot of freedom. Obviously, the Utti regiment was basically setting up the guidelines, and we were always like traveling with them and doing stuff. But we were always the troublemakers, which I don't know. We were all older than the Utti guys. Me already over 10 years older than everyone else, because I was the oldest ever graduated in that time. I was already 29 when I started the Q course or whatever, so I was 30 when I started working over there.
So super old.
super old on that spectrum.
Yep.
So it was pretty hard for me, even physically. It was really demanding. But yeah, we were older, we were bigger. Maybe we had a really good brotherhood already. We bonded really well. So, and then I remember us going for the jump days, for example, in the regiment. So everyone was sitting in the auditorium, and then the leader of the jump day comes in and it's like doesn't even watch anyone. It's like, I smell booze. Divers are here. So so we already like, oh, let's get it done. Let's get it done. So, but we were kind of like a rough group for the partying and having fun, making noise. Obviously, some fighting occurred as well from time to time in the places, but that was just part of that thing. So everyone was defending their brothers. So but it was a good time, yeah. So we had plenty of fun. But yeah, we basically trained with the friends in Africa and stuff like that. What was the name of the author of the On Killing, the book? The lieutenant colonel from the States. Everyone was preparing us already to the deployments. And then 2008, we did our first deployment in Afghanistan. So it took a 1-year rotation to everyone to take part. We had like a couple of IEDs on the whole rotation, stuff like that. No firefights, just doing recce, whatever. So that was it. We came back, and roughly about a year after that, we went back. But before that, we did super much training. Everyone was already, we started hearing rumors that we're going to be sent to war on next year. So we concentrate on the training completely, on doing offensive and direct action stuff. So yeah, a lot of Israeli training, CQP, just basic infantry tactics, what works. So that was.
So you had to go alone, or you were with coalition with someone?
We were part of the Utti regiment.
Okay.
Finnish Navy, Finnish SF detachment, which was like, maybe we were like little less, maybe less than 3 platoons, or 2 whole platoons with all the maintenance support and whatever. It was quite less for our counter partners in whoever they all had already like the full SF detachment with everything related. That we did bring our own armory guys and maintenance guys and stuff like that, but we were still like quite a small bunch. Yeah, that was a rough deployment. Then everything changed at that deployment.
So where you were deployed?
We were deployed in first Mazar Sharif, in the northern part of Afghanistan.
And 1 year again?
No, this was like a 6 months operation or something like, or 8 months operation or what it was. It was basically on the time when they had this election going on, but it was just a cover up or whatever it was to get us over there and get our really first combat experience.
So you were kind of the first unit after whatever?
After the Second World War, yeah.
Yeah, to actually go and do kinetic things.
Yeah, and do offensive stuff, because at that time it was already covered because we had this semi-communist president, Tarja Halonen and whoever. It was basically hitting in the plain sight on what we were doing. No one really told everyone that we were going, but the media knew that we would be sent, but basically nothing more. And immediately we started getting our HVTs, high value targets, capture or kill operations, which is still like a fucking secret in Finland, which is also a huge problem at the moment because Finnish defense forces haven't come out in a closet, so to speak. What we have done in Afghanistan and Iraq, for example.
And what's the reason behind that?
I don't know. I really don't know. I have no idea why they are still keeping it secret because people knew and know that we were there. The foreign minister at that time, which is now our president, called us after every successful operation and congratulated us. But I'm pretty sure that the president was kept this was kept secret from the president, and it was quite weird. But
so how was now this time compared to everything else what you had done? So what did it felt like when you actually started shooting, or people actually started accurately shooting towards you?
Well, like I was in a guest in a podcast last week. I was asked the same question. So it's surreal feeling that someone is actually trying to kill you. So it's basically like this short moment of time, whatever it feels like in your head, you're denying it that it really doesn't happen. But it is surreal feeling. It goes away, but at that time when it happens, it's kind of like before the circus music starts to play in your head. You're basically like going syntax error, whatever it's happening. You're orientating yourself before the. At least my case, like the autopilot took over and
the training.
Things started to happen. But in that whatever seconds it took, for me, now it feels like all of these things that it happened in someone else's life.
In a movie.
In a movie or someone else's life, like I'm telling someone else's stories or whatever.
But so at the time, there was nobody from Finland, and you were all Finnish. No US guys, nobody has pretty much been in contact before.
No, it was us, and then we had, I think it was Latvian guys. Did one group from there, and then we had Swedish guys attached to us. But we started doing those things first, like just us. And I remember the thing like we were first time we were actually leaving because it's the orientation phase or acclimatation phase or whatever. It felt like it was just like, or in processing, it felt like that week or whatever 2 weeks. It took like 10 days or something like that. I just wanted to get the fuck out of the camp. I do whatever I needed to do just to get the fuck out of here because it was really bad. So we did everything, like day was really busy and everyone was like really, because we didn't have our ATVs or motorcycles, or we didn't have a grenade, machine gun, Heckler and Koch shit. We couldn't get any of that because it was like, no, it's reserved for the wartime. It's like, what the fuck? So we had to drive with Mercedes. So we had to strip down the vehicle.
GDs.
Yeah, we had to strip down the, like a pressure chamber. Everything else is surrounded, but not the floor. Whenever anything explodes underneath, everyone will die instantaneously and no pressure comes out. So it's good for everything. So minimum damage outside. So we were just doing those things and we were just started walking at night with nothing and then walking with plate carriers and vest and stuff like that. Went for the walking with rucksacks and running with rucksacks, every night. Everyone else went to bed and we started doing that, and then daytime we had to do all the things like everyone else had to do, and I was just like hoping that let us just fucking go. And eventually we left for the FOB to Sarepul, which is close to the Sayad area, which was already where we were we were in the past year in 2008. It was already underneath the Taliban over there, like heavily. And then there's Kohistanat, then the Hindu Kush starts from there. So basically, everyone else left, and then I was kind of like sitting in the backseat and thought, there's something wrong with our jammer because, lights doesn't work correctly. And then it was like, okay, let's check it out. And then we went to the EV guys. I was like, okay, there's no program inside. Like we've been driving already 10 days over here, and there's no programming inside. And everyone is like, okay, we're not going to wait for you, and we're just going to go, and you just catch us up later. And it was just us, 2 guards, like 8 dudes or 6 dudes. And it was quite funny. And then sun went down already, and it was already dark. And then we went to ask, okay, we're going to go. And we're just going to put fucking pedal to the metal, and it was like maybe 4-hour drive or something like that on a ring road, which is the fucking dangerous road. We had to go through all these bad places.
With 2 vehicles, right?
With
or
2
3?
vehicles, yeah.
Yeah.
And when we started to go out in the camp, the Swedish CV90s, they just went in front of us. I don't know if Johannes told you this already, and then they went. It was like we were wondering what the fuck is happening. Did you go to the talk to ask if something is happening? And I went. There's nothing. And we were driving behind them, and then fucking these CVs started firing, and the firefight was going on in front of us. Like, what the fuck is happening? And let's get out of the vehicle. And the Swedish guys, they were already in contact on the road. And I don't know how many they killed over there because they ended up being in the same ditch with the Taliban, and they had like face-to-face contact in that ditch. And they killed everyone over there. And then some of the Taliban, they started running, and then the CV just fucking hammered them.
So this was when you were transferring from the main camp to the actual fort, right?
Yeah, actually first time when we actually left outside of the camp, like to drive to the fort, and it happened instantaneously.
No, that's a nice one.
And then I fired my first shot in that war. So basically, we were going back to the car, and it was full of shit, obviously, because we had all of our gear. All my medics and PKMs and everything was behind, on the back seat. And I went over there and tried to fit in. And I went on my right cheek, already was there, and it's like sitting. And then like I grabbed my rifle and just pulled it out, and it stuck. And I just put it, what the fuck? And I just pulled it like this. Something stick between the trigger guard and the trigger, and it's like went BAM! And then both of the guys, like Kimmo was sitting over there, Johanna was sitting on the right hand side, and Kimmo was driving, and both of them, they were completely quiet. I was quiet, and then no one turned. Johanna didn't turn. He sat down, only asked me that, was it a tracer or black? It's like, I guess it was black. Well, good. Then we don't have to report it. And then it's like, are you okay? It's like, I don't know. I have to check. And then I just like grabbed my light and just went to the. It seems that all my toes are in and I'm not bleeding. Cool, let's go. And that was my first. And Kimmo was like, oh, these new Surefire earplugs, they work really well because my ears are not ringing in the vehicle. But yeah, then we went to the fob over there, and then it was just like back to back, like being like constantly out.
But what was your like mission? What was it like given you? What was your task?
We had a red box over there, like village called Almalek, which was our RH Valley target was like Mullah Omar, which was the guy sent from the west to the northern part of Afghanistan to start mayhem and chaos and working. And he had quite a big group over there, fighters, foreign fighters and Afghan fighters. So our job was to hunt him down and kill him. So then we did quite many weeks. We did recce on how we can actually go to the village of Almalek, because it was in a valley of high mountains in that area. and there was just a couple of roads that you can take over there, and if you take those roads, you're like 100% guaranteed to be attacked.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of that, a lot of recces, really dangerous driving. But it started almost instantaneously. Like every time that we went outside of the gate, or any patrol went outside of the gate, they ended up being in contact. So we started calling it as a I don't know how it translates in English, but it's called like hirvirata. It means like when you're shooting a moose target, which is moving in
and you
shooting
were the moose.
range. We were the moose.
Yeah.
So we always
luring the enemy.
Yeah. Basically, our job was like drive as long as you've been shot at, and then shoot back and get all the assets that you can get, and just.
That was your recce.
That was our recce. So
Yeah, like, makes sense.
Where the enemy is, and then get reinforcement, then do it again, and that went weeks on end, and some of the groups were really tired already because every time that they went outside, they were already in thick, like instantaneously. So
how was that? How was that helping you, your mentality or your team? What were you thinking while just knowing that you will be shot at first, and then?
It was really stressful because you basically learned, like training over here, like you guys train over there. Everyone trains in SF. Like we are the guys who actually set the time and place when it happens. But actually, when you are the one who's been hunted. And your job is just to fucking collect the bullets and then retaliate. It really sucks. It really stresses you. So, and eventually, for the start, you check out all the ditch drums and whatever, stop before that, and then everyone goes out and check out if there's IED or whatever. And eventually, you get so fucking tired that you don't care anymore. And just like is anyone going to check that? Fine, I don't just drive through and just like
you don't care anymore.
I'll just put my fingers in my ears, so I don't care. So it fucks up the mentality also.
So in terms of now you got the information about that the enemy is there, they're shooting at you. Like what then decided, or what was the triggering point? Okay, we have now the information. So let's go and get them.
Yeah, basically we were then they were pinpointed in that particular village. A number of times we did that, what I told you, or the detachment did. Eventually they planned an operation where 2 battalions from ANA would attack. And we would be with the JTACs on a hilltop, just finishing them because they were just pushing them back to the west. And the route went through this kind of like the wadi that they can't. And we already had like pre-ordered air support, quite many planes. But that went completely fucked when we were driving over there. I don't know where we were going on the real operation. Yes, I think we were. But anyway, we were driving these really narrow roads up to the hilltop over there. And eventually one Swedish RG, which stupidly enough had all the JTACs, all 4 of them, it fell off from the cliff. So, and tumbled down over there to the bottom of the ditch. So now I was so tired already in that point that I was just like, I don't know, was I sitting in the front and Juhani was maybe a shooter, or I can't remember anyway. But he just came and yelled at me that the Swedish RG failed and the car failed, and I was like, what? Ours was? No, fucking stupid, the Swedish ones. But because you were so tired already that
you have no idea.
You had no idea, and I was the first medic to went over there, so it's always a really bad place when you go to the whatever kind of an accident site, when it's completely quiet.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's
It's the worst.
no sound at all. And I could see the RG was like laying off like this, and this Swedish guy was laying underneath like that, and I could just see him like laying over there. And I couldn't see that the actual wheels or whatever stopped the actual car from crashing him. There was kind of like maybe 50 centimeters, 40 centimeters gap between him and the vehicle. But he was completely knocked out. He was completely like pale, and I could see maybe 20 meters up or something like that. And he's dead. That was my first impression. And then we had to find a route to get to them. And then we started treating them. It's also quite a hassle to get into the vehicle when it's locked, and then kind of like the car, the heavy doors, when it's like leaning like that you have to start to open up the door from here to get into the car. And then I went from the shooter's place inside of the car, and I was the first one over there, and then the second medic came in. So we had like this dude who had I think shattered his femur, and something else from the pelvic was fucked, but he was just passed out, no inner bleeding or stuff like that we could find. And one guy with the head trauma, severe like head trauma, that he had to be removed with the stretchers, and one walking wounded coming up, and one had to be held up. Two of them were critically wounded. Two of them were like category B. So, but yeah, then we treated them, and then basically we missed out the window on the operation side, or we ended up in the hilltop to see the attack happening, but we couldn't effectively hit the escaping Taliban. So that whole operation was complete clusterfuck.
So, and yeah, like it's so unfortunate that you go to war and you get wounded or you die because of an accident.
Yeah, but those things happen.
Absolutely.
And it was kind of like the thing, everyone can blame everything or whatever, or bad planning or stuff like that, but maybe it was because everyone was extra super tired.
Oh, 100%. It makes and I mean the complacency, it just kicks in.
Yeah.
If you get used to it, and especially you doing those recces and stuff like that, then you get used to it. It never happens with me. It just takes one
mistake, and then it's
one mistake as a driver to get off from the cliff.
Yeah, it was really bad. Yeah, but I think it was kind of like, I remember that days when we were treating the patients, and this guy who I found over there underneath the vehicle, he was like, what it's called, like straighter or whatever, never had any drop of alcohol, never smoked a cigarette, never took a drug, any kind, ever. And he had tattooed on underneath his belly button, there was a tattoo which said like drug-free. And just before the medevac landed, I told Juhani that we should write to his belly with the permanent marker, I used to be. And then Juhani came and I lifted his shirt, and Juhani wrote to his belly, I used to be drug-free. And then when they started treating him in Mazar al-Sharif, I guess it was like row 1 or row 2, the doctors started laughing so much, so they couldn't first treat him. Everyone was just laughing.
Yeah.
Because it was just a show, just good, that kind of a joke, but only, and I guess we ended up in the news in Sweden as well, regarding of that, how good the atmosphere is between us, that they're still making jokes. And
what else can you do?
Yeah. What else can you do? In the bad times, what else can you do than do something that makes you laugh?
So those guys got taken away. What was it? How many months were you in?
Maybe 2 months, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, then the operation went. That was the main operation, or something like that. But yeah, then then it was that was that, and then we did like a couple of other operations as well. Nothing were like no successful thing, and we ended up leaving to Afghanistan. Our detachment, when the new one came in, that our HVT was still alive, and we couldn't do what we were sent to do.
So, but the way how you were supposed to like catch him was with through the land, not through air.
Not through air, no. Which was kind of stupid at that time. I don't know. There were like Norwegian choppers, and then there were German ones, but Germans don't fly in hot zones.
Outside.
Yeah, or hot LZs or anything. There was also the Mike Spann camp over there, the US one, but I don't know what was going on at that time, because we already had a really close relationship with the US that time. But nowadays it wouldn't be a problem.
You mean
get the necessary assets in use.
So you kind of were like handcuffed with going in only from those roads, which you know that are fucked.
Yeah, and we were kind of like doing, so to speak, we were more like doing like this conventional army or infantry stuff with special forces knowledge and know how to do it, and using basic infantry tactics to fight the enemy. So no anything like fast roping in, doing things at night, or we didn't use any of our like really good what we had like capabilities of.
And why do you think that is? Like, was it because of your overall unit was there the first time? You didn't have the leverage, or what was the inexperience, or what was
something
it?
like that? I think it was like we didn't have the experience. Leadership didn't have the experience. When the next rotation came in, they get ATVs, they get motorcycles, they get whatever they ask, they get it from the storage from here. So and they flew in with C-17, so they got all of the toys. So their job was much easier then. But we were just we went over there with
Well, that's how you learn, right?
Yeah,
you go in there, see what happens, and then you start adjusting based on the information. And the smart people are who adjust. And there are plenty of examples where people don't adjust either.
Yeah, but that was kind of like the thing that we did over there, and it was an experience. We were studied quite a lot back home.
Absolutely, as you were the kind of the first ones.
Yeah, so I remember when we went back, basically you had your R&R over here, and then you went back to the unit, and we were just like the whole unit was completely empty. It was just the 6 of us. Everyone else was in the deployed, and we were just sitting. I was just sitting in my own cage. Johanna was sitting in his own cage. Kimmo was sitting in his own. We did our like morning exercises, whatever, and did some training, whatever we could just figure it out. But everyone was kind of there, but was not there.
So you didn't have much or anyone to provide also the kind of the lessons or provide them or transfer them, because it was only you guys.
Yeah, and we did write our own lessons learned, but it was immediately when we sent it, it was stamped as a secret. So I don't even know the younger guys these days, they didn't even know that what we did over there. Because the unit kept the secret, which feels absurd. And like the second rotation was constantly asking from the officers and everything what's going on, because every day in the newspaper back home it was like Finnish troops in contact, but it never mentions that it always the same particular detachment, which is every day in contact, and they just kept reporting it. No casualties, no casualties, no casualties. But and then obviously they even kept it from the secret from the second rotation, which was we were really mad about it afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, no, why we don't want to cause like extra worry or whatever. What the fuck? We should learn from them. We should talk with them how to prepare, how to be better, how to be able to do our job better over there, because they're now there. We should talk to them, but they kept it completely restricted. I hope they learned from that. I don't know, but
I just spoke with one dude who served 47 years. He served 24 years in the British Royal Marine Commandos. He was in the Falklands War, and he told me later on he served in Estonian defense forces for 20 years. And what he spoke about what he did in the Falklands was a bit similar. That they were pretty much sent on a wrecker like you guys were with the cars, but they were just one squad, and their mission was start walking that way. We need you to go that direction. And later on they understood that they were bait for the battalion defensive positions.
Okay.
Yeah, so they kind of ran into that in the night, and the reason for sending them was for the British battalion to figure out where the enemy is.
Okay.
So that was their mission. So they didn't. They said also that they were not said anything. What was their purpose?
Yeah.
And the reason was that they don't want to know, right? But he himself said we would have liked to know.
Yeah. Obviously. Yeah.
And it's crazy that sometimes for whatever reason, people think that if you don't tell them that there is 100 tanks coming, then it's a best thing to tell them before maybe there is a chance.
Yeah.
Rather than they will figure out 5 minutes before the tanks are rolling in that hey, tanks are coming.
Yeah, we had some confrontation going on with the leadership over there as well, because we were sent retasked in the middle of the night that you have to attack this and this village. And we already saw multiple mission abort criteria has already no heavy weapons, no air support, no JTACs. It was just us, our assault rifles and PKMs and some fucking light anti-tank weapons, whatever. And maybe 16 guys attacked that village. And the information we got was the Taliban has already been there for 2 weeks, digging trenches and stuff like that, digging in, planning IEDs everywhere, and just waiting for us to come over there. It's what the fuck? No, this is not how we trained back home. These criteria don't matter. This is an abort mission criteria.
Yeah.
And they just you have to go with that. Just follow the orders and whatever. So we went over there. And it was not the case at the moment, because the Taliban had just fled or left before we came in. But basically, lack of information was creating really extra stress, which is not needed in that kind of a environment when you're already on the edge. It's you're fed up eating with your fucking Norwegian food and you're losing weight and everything. It is just everything is accumulating when you're in that circle. It's in that situation you're already in a bad situation, and then someone is just retasking, and already once they're told us that okay, you have done your job, come back to the camp. So when you got back, you must have been a little bit frustrated, or then what was that like? What happened next for you guys? Kind of frustrated, or also, but I had
it's kind of it seems to be like a story from the beginning of your first deployment a little bit.
Yeah,
and same kind of thing going on.
we didn't basically feel like that. Obviously, we were like bothered that we couldn't do our job. Try to figure out what was the reason why we were not able to do what we were sent to do. But most of all, it was just like I had like things going on with my parents and whatever. Like I was personally wise there was a lot of stress going on in the civilian life as well. And for me, it was really hard to go over there. In any case, it was hard because my firstborn was in the belly of my wife when the deployment started. So, and it really didn't help when the wife started sending ultrasound pictures, and I was in the fob receiving like pictures for the son that I might never see.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, it is actually now like really bad to think about it. So like that was extra stress that I didn't need it, and I shouldn't have opened up those emails, but I did. But yeah, a lot of things, and then those things happened. A lot of shit happened back home, and then basically the stress accumulated for me, for example, for the level that I started to have like this psychosomatic or like disorders, whatever, like PTSD things. First month went really well. It was like you were excited to be home and whatever. I slept basically quite nice, not like really good, but there was issues regarding of that. Eventually I told my wife, if you have to wake me up, please do not touch me, just like wake up me, throw me with the pillow or yell from the door or whatever. And then it started to accumulate on the situation that I couldn't sleep anymore and I couldn't eat. Then I fucking was like diagnosed that I had number of parasites in my system. And everyone who knows me, I hate everything which is smaller than moose should be killed. So it was not nice. And yeah, it turned out to be on my case like when I basically lost the interest of my wife being pregnant, then I started to worry as well.
So were you able to like share that with the team guys, or were you the only one?
Yeah, we shared that, and we left the cat on the table as well with the team guys. Talk that through and who did what and who didn't do any whatever we went through this. Like it was not a hot wash. It was already maybe a week after deployment or something like that. But still, but yeah. But then it went like on that, and eventually I went to the diving medical center. And I remember walking in from the door, and then the doctor just looked at me and asked me that, like, when have you been sleeping last? And I was like, I can't remember, maybe 2 weeks ago, something like that. Immediately write a sick leave and
sounds like
something to sleep with, but it didn't like. And I remember telling my wife that I took like these legendary sleeping pills. That the moment just before I fell into sleep, I feel normal in my head. Just a brief moment of time, and then I fell asleep, and I still woke up like 4 o'clock, like a fucking Dracula, like heart was pumping. And it went like that. Obviously, then talk to the shrink, go through those own personal life things, and then this. And eventually, it started to go away really, really good when everyone was back by the end of the year. I can't remember which month it was, but we were in one place like these places like sport academic places in Finland where you can rent a hotel and you have your own like places and rooms and whatever. And I ended up sleeping in the same bed with my teammate. So in a not a Navy way.
Yeah.
So, but then in the next day I started feeling like when we were leaving, I told my friends that I actually feel that maybe this will start slowly go away, and it did. But I was in a really like these sensitive for the stress or different kind of symptoms for a couple of years. You were super sensitive, kind of like, do I feel it again, and is it coming again, and kind of like doing grocery shopping. And me, I was always thinking about that I'm like invincible, unbreakable. Doing grocery shopping, I had to call my wife. I'm gonna fucking have a panic attack. To come over here, I can't go to the cashier. Come over here, and you know it went all the way to the that. but situations that we were is kind of like the last RPG that hit really close to me. I don't know why I didn't die or something like that, but it really flew me up like in the fucking movies. And I was just like tumbling down or whatever, finding my way back to the vehicle. And when I went to the vehicle, and it was because it was stuck or whatever, and then we managed to get it off, and then I was just covered completely on the dust. And then the doctor, our SOS team leader, was sitting in the front seat, and he was like, "Where are you bleeding from?" And I was like, "What the fuck? I'm not bleeding," because everything was in blood in all the plate carriers and whatever. But it was all coming from the nose because of the blast was so intense that it just opened up my nose completely. So that was, I don't know, kind of like these sounds, whatever, in the grocery store. Like suddenly you feel like fucking RPG is flying, and you have this urge to jump, you know, and lay on the floor.
Well, it's something that is not under your control anymore. You don't feel it's under your control. It's when you're saying like stay calm in the tank, stay calm, stay calm, stay calm.
Yeah.
But you don't stay calm.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you say.
Yeah.
So when you realized that you have this thing, like, did you stay in there for longer, or did you decide to that's it now?
No. I stayed in and did deployments after that. So, but it just took like let's put it like that. Like after 6 months, it was basically like under control, or in a situation like where I didn't have any of the symptoms anymore. And it was kind of like, and that's stayed in the unit. We were just, you know, freshly started like basic unit, like when the Navy SF was officially like as a unit. So no one wanted to tell anyone that they have any problems, which is kind of toxic if you think about the things. Like if you can't share your things even to your teammates because you think that everyone thinks you're weak, or you think that you will be lifted from the operational side to not do the things that you want to do. So it is not at that state. It is not a good place to be. But it took maybe 6 months.
And now you have a baby, right?
Yeah, now I had a baby. Yeah, he was born on 6th of February. And at that time I was already like feeling okay completely. So
what's next? Where did you deploy next, and what happened there?
So then the next deployment was 2010 when the boy was born. I was basically most of the year what I could. I stayed home, did the training, whatever, and then by the end of the year 2010 we started doing the rotation training for the mission, the Atalanta mission, which was the hunt down the pirates in Somalia. So
anything significant happened there?
Well, plenty of things happened over there, and yet again we were the first ones to be deployed on a Navy ship to the Horn of Africa. So
true pioneers.
True pioneers, yes. So we started on by the end of the year 2010. We started training. Maybe October, November, and then early January we left, and we sailed from the Finland all the way back, all the way to the Somalia. With at that moment the biggest ship that we had, like fucking 80 meters or something, and it was just pure fucking horror. I'm the only diver who drew up even in Afghanistan because of the seasickness. We can just go through this shortly. It's kind of like one of our team was in the contact, and we were taking in the fob. We were in the sauna, and it came we have to go, and I tried to pull off my pants, and I went without any shirt, just the fucking plate carrier on, and went to the car, and we all left. And I remember the Swedish JTAC sitting next to me, and we were going as fast as we could, and the roads are what they are, and you understand the fucking bounce that you go. You couldn't see anything because of the dust, because we were maybe the third car. The driver was Kimmo, and he was just like, fucking, I can't see shit, we're gonna die. And I started to feel like, okay, I'm gonna get seasick over here. And the JTAC was constantly calling unknown call sign, this is Viking 1-2, whatever, acknowledge. And no one replied, and then I was like, oh, okay, I had to take off my helmet, and I fucking puked in my helmet in the car. And
holy shit.
and in a vehicle where you can't open up the windows, and if you're good, it would just instantaneously filled with dust. So it was nice. By the way, but eventually it was. I remember the face of the JTAC when the call sign like answered over there that whatever, this is Bone 1, and then you was like, do you know what we have up there? It's like, no idea. What the fuck is Bone 1? And that is a B-1 bomber, strategic bomber. So it was kind of like that. Now we can do whatever the fuck we want, and we can just annihilate the Taliban completely. But that was good. But I suffered quite a lot of that seasickness. It was
on the land.
On the land, but I also suffered it on the way to Somalia. It was basically I stayed under the first week completely before we were in the Mediterranean, and I was just like seasick constantly. Just like the people who could walk bring me just Coke and white bread, so I could just keep puking, and stayed on the bed, and it was awful. But then it cooled down when we went to the Mediterranean. And after a couple of weeks, it started to go away. And then you get used to the rough seas. But then it also cooled down again in the Red Sea. It was quite nice. So, but yeah.
So what were your operations like, or did you just protect something, or free ships, or what did you do?
No, we were basically like there doing. Preventing the pirates, to protecting ships, doing opposed boarding to any ship that was feasible as a target. So we did a lot of like tracing or opposed boarding on like daily basis over there. A lot of training, but mostly when we were there in the operational area. So it was daily basis of doing boarding, and eventually we ended up of catching a vessel full of pirates. So
how did that feel like? You accomplished something?
Well, basically it was kind of like the group leader came in, it's like everyone was in the bed. It's like nothing like special, just keep sleeping. And then I basically already I knew that okay, we're gonna go in a couple of hours, and then I couldn't sleep anymore because I know we're gonna go. And then after a couple of hours we woke up, and then early sun, dust still like coming up. We went to the boats, and then we fired with the cannons in front of the vessel, and we were sent over there. And I remember kind of like the thing was like we had like one guy over there who wanted to do something. I was there in the front man, And then this guy was sent to me, and it's like he wanted to do something different. And then the group leader immediately took him from the back of the boat to be the last man. And then he sent me the completely green guy over there. Go, and Jan will give you a pep talk. And then it was like we were driving, and it was like, okay, they told me to come over here, and what should we do? It's like, okay, you see those guys behind you? Yeah, your job is to keep everyone alive. So when we go over there, you fucking shoot everyone in the mouth and make sure that everyone behind you gets home. And it was like an awesome pep talk. But eventually they lift their hands just before we went over there. Our Danish colleagues had a different kind of experience. They were led to be like really close, and then they open up fire like a bear did way. And then there's snipers that basically just cut the shitting out of them. They just smashed them completely. Everyone was just firing below, and then the sniper was firing. But in our case, they lift their hands. So
which is a good thing.
Yeah, it depends on
for them.
Yeah. So
yeah.
But at that moment, obviously, kind of disappointed.
Yeah. I can imagine. So you did that part over there.
Yeah.
And then that was a year.
2011.
And you did it for 1 year again.
No, it was. We were back. We left early days of January, and we were back on early days of June. I guess 6 months less, something like that, over there. Roughly about the 6 months was the deployment, and came back. After that, that was it. On that particular deployment, I had a confrontation with the admiral, the commanding officer of Navy, which I didn't know that we had a confrontation. But he came to visit us and asked different things like, well, everything is, I guess, okay. And on that day, I already had been listening to everyone, how things are, that why this and this doesn't work and whatever. And I told them already, okay, this is the time that we're sitting in outer terrain, and we should lift our hands and explain with no emotions, whatever, that this is not working, and we should have this and that. And when he asked Bob that question, no one talked. Not one officer, not anyone. So I ended up being the one to tell him that these
you
matters.
Broke the leadership vacuum.
Yeah, so I ended up telling him that this is not working. And we had a better internet connection even in the desert of fucking Afghanistan than the flagship of Finnish Navy. What is going on? And we can't keep contacting our families. We're weeks that we don't have possibility to let them know that we're still here or whatever. And he lost his shit completely. So I ended up coming back, and then I had my summer leave. I went back in a unit, I guess, 2011, August, early days of August. Did my morning briefing with everyone over there, and then usually we go and do our PT in the morning, and then the CEO told me that, hey, come upstairs and have a chat with me. It's like, hey, I've been here less than 2 hours, so I haven't managed to fuck up anything yet. It's like, hey, just come over here and have a chat. And on that chat, he threw the paper on the table and told me that you have 30 days time to pack your shit and move to the training wing to train medics. So I walked to the training wing, and I asked them that I heard that I've been transferred over here, and they didn't know that. So basically, I ended up in talking to commander, the commanding of whole Upiniemi, who was the legendary Navy SEALs guy, Markus Arnio. And I asked him, what's going on? That you're not just, you understand what is happening, that this is not just a job for me, this is my way of life. That you're skinning me alive. And he just couldn't do anything. It's like, this is it, how it is. And it's like, okay. So basically, on that feedback of one small person couldn't handle from
the huge ego of a admiral.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was transferred to training wing in a diving school. I stayed there until early days of 2012. By the end of the year 11, there was a selection for the counterterrorism unit for the border guard, and I applied on that, and then I was accepted, and I passed selection. So then I started working there on.
So another new beginning.
Yes, and after that, basically what I was promised, that because of my background, I wouldn't have to do the whole course.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a week-long selection, which is quite a fucking rough ride. So I was already 35, something like that, and I was 35, something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I managed to pass that, and then it's like, yeah, maybe you just take part of the basic course training, because you have already this experience and whatever. Eventually, what happened, I ended up had to take off the whole course, and then I made a promise to myself, I will fucking never start anything new again. I was 35 and I was doing shit with the 22-year-old dudes, 25-year-old dudes in a yet again in a new Q course, pushing cars and doing fucking climbing ropes and whatever.
Yeah.
So, but it was a good thing that I did that completely. Eventually, it was like that. No one can deny that I didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing was given to me. And then I started working in a unit over there, like 2012, until officially I resigned on 2021.
So you stayed there for 9 years.
Yeah, but I left for my leave of absence of April 2019, I guess.
But were you able to deploy with that unit, or what was the purpose of that unit in general?
Well, that purpose, that unit's purpose over here is like I said, it's like that's the first fish that we have.
Internally.
Internally, externally, it means that we have all the capabilities as an soft unit has, all the toys. We have a JTAC capability of doing, like today it's 365 days a year. We can immediately start to hit the targets. So we don't have to call anyone from home. They're always there. There's always a group of people on standby and working. So, and also if there's a terror attack, that is the unit. That was the unit who fast drove it with Karhu to this ship in early this year or last year. So, but yeah, that's the purpose of that unit. So there's actually 2 units of them. One is in the eastern border, and one is over here in Helsinki, which is specialized in the maritime operations, which has the tactical diving capability, which is the best in Finland by far. And the thing is kind of like the budget and the money comes from the different, and it's not like these huge projects. This unit guy can buy directly, like a tier 1 unit, directly whatever they want, wherever they want.
So decentralized a bit more. Which is a great thing.
Yeah. And a really, really, really professional, super professional unit. And the age average age, I guess it still is between 33, when average operator is roughly about 33 years old.
So everyone is mature already.
Yeah. There's no boys over there. So
everyone is old.
Everyone is old. so that's one of those. That's really good thing actually.
So everyone understands what they are doing. They are not kids anymore so much, and that's a great part about it.
Yeah.
So then you finally decided to resign. What was that about?
Well, that goes hand in hand with the European Commission. Like I already went through that I left 19 and stayed home because I had one deployment with that unit already as a part of as a Navy task unit in the coast of Libya. We were this welcome party for the fleeing ISIS cells, let's say it like that. When the coalition was bombing, SAS and SPS and some other French dudes were targeting the Libya at the moment, and coalition was bombing quite rough, and the remaining cells of ISIS fled to the sea, and then the French SF and us, we were just like a welcome party over there, waiting for them. Quite a nice operation, nothing really mentioned word happened, but yeah. But on that deployment, my son started to have these. After that, when I came back, started to have like these panic attacks. So basically, everyone over here, for example, at the podcast I was in yesterday on last week Monday, people are commenting that we haven't done what we're telling, like we're just like fucking TV celebrities or whatever. So they don't even know. So that I just didn't pay the cost. The family paid the cost as well.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not the only one. There's much worse case in the different operations or operators' families that has occurred on a family-wise. So, but yeah, my son has started to have these panic attacks and whatever, and then we tackled with that maybe about 2 years, something like that. So I stayed home, studied, finished building up my house. I only knew that I'm not going back because they actually removed me from the commanding master diver's job for being the commanding NCO of the unit, which is basically a janitor's job. So and I told my CEO that's kind of like that you're now offering me, so I'm not a door kicker anymore, and you're offering me a janitor's job. So I'm over here telling people to clean up their cages, fill up the tanks of the cars, clean up the boats, whatever, and it's not for me. You know.
You can get someone else to do that.
Yeah. So, and then I still had like I calculated that I have like 13 years before the retirement, so I can either stay over here in the unit and fade away as a room planned, so to speak. So.
Or do something else. So I choose to do something else, and that's the scariest thing I've ever done. When I actually close up the unit's door, and I knew I would never be back, and I didn't. So how was the transition in reality? Was it so you afraid it more than what the reality was?
Yeah, because well, like I said, you don't actually know your value.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't understand anything. Basically, you lived your fucking adulthood, or most of it anyway, in a bubble, so to speak. So it's kind of you're lost. So you don't know. There's no directions. I had friends, teammates who went to the university, and kind of like, and I already still I was in the state that maybe I'm not the person to go to the university. Maybe I'm not smart enough. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do, but I only knew that I'm going to do something, and I'm not going to go back. The family comes first. And But it was good. Maybe I stayed home for the 2 months, something like that. I remember when we were taking a sauna, something like that, and my son just, we were just washing hair, and it's like, Dad, it's like, yeah. It's like, it's kind of weird. I was like, what? Like you never used to be home? I was like, yeah, but now you're home. I was like, is that a good thing? It's like, it's really good thing, yeah. But Mom is never home nowadays. I was like, maybe she has a couple of years, on underneath her belt to pay me back. So, but is it fun that I'm here? Yeah, it's super much fun. So I stayed home and studied, and then I applied for the university, the Laurea University, the risk and security management bachelor degree.
So how was that for you? Like, was it now you knew that actually it's about you can learn?
Yeah. Basically, and that went already like that. I did my you can study those things maybe in the open university, certain amount of points, and then you can apply as I don't know, it's like a bridge student kind of thing. But then you have to do 60 points on one semester or something like that to be accepted. And it's an open thing. Who's the fastest in the internet when it's open? So and this deacon or whatever, they told me that I want you to do this because I want you to get in. So I did that, but I couldn't manage to get my place. I was like maybe 10th or something like that. So I drove over there and I told him that this is the thing. I couldn't get in. I did my best, but I don't know what to do. And then it's like, let me check this thing and blah blah blah. And then it's like, after 10 minutes he comes back to the office. It's like, well, now you're in. It's like, thank you. So I went through to the kitchen. To the program, and I did my studies, and obviously on that time I did all my studies in 15 months. So then I also understood that I'm not stupid, but it took roughly about 40 years or something like that, or more than that to understand that I do have skills to study it. So. And I graduated with really good grades, and I did my studies. And at the same time I was working for the Juhani, doing stuff, and we were supervising this Neste oil refinery plants, cooled down or stopped down or whatever it's called when it's completely stopped, and they're maintaining it. And I had a paper sent in for the recruitment for the European Commission Close Protection Unit. And so I take a look, and then I was like, okay, I can apply for that. Because previously you had to be a police officer to apply to that. But now they started that if you have an SF background, you're welcome to do it as well. So then I called my wife and I asked her that, what do you think about if we would move to Brussels? And she was like, when do we have to know? I was like, when I drive from Porvoo to home, we have to know. Because then I have to start collecting the papers, and it takes quite a many days to collect all the papers and send it to them. It's like, and she answered immediately on the phone that, well, let's do it. It's like, okay, that's how we do things. So then I went home and fill out all the papers and what was needed and send it, and then I was accepted to take part of the selection, which was not mentioned that it's selection. So it was kind of like there's a tests coming in, and then whatever was in the test, which was just like basic pull-ups, bench press, fucking whatever, basic stuff. Even my wife looked at the papers kind of like easy thing. It's like, yeah, but you can understand it starts 6 o'clock in the Monday and it stops like Friday. There's a lot of gap in the between that maybe there's something happening between. And immediately when I went to the 6 o'clock in the morning on that particular Monday on the European Commission, immediately I knew, fuck, I'm in the selection.
Again.
Like, again. So this is like my third one completely. So like switch on the selection phase. What I heard basically it was kind of like 300 applications. 40 people were selected to take part of the selection, but only 30 was tested because of the COVID. And three from that 30 was selected.
That's a very, very low percentage.
Yeah, and I was one of them. There was like two Finnish guys and one Swedish guy. Swedish guy was selected. Later on, one Croatian guy came, but he left immediately afterwards. It was not his cup of tea. So,
so how was the job compared to what you had done before?
Job itself, it's quite nice. Very well paid, as you probably know already. There's Ragnar and people over there in Estonia who still do this. So greetings for you guys. And it's really it's fun. You get to see a lot of places and travel quite a lot. Obviously, it depends on which team you are. But the working environment itself, it's not like where we used to work. It's really poisonous, which is absurd. Everyone over there is top 1% on in the personal wise.
Yeah.
But the atmosphere is really bad on a leadership level, and we had really bad unit leader over there, former Danish Frogman Corp NCO who studied in the university and became a dick, completely fucking moron as a man.
Went to a school of how to be a dick.
Yes, but you know, and the leadership it was directly from the 40s, so it was really bad. And it was kind of like the attitude over there was when the leadership was Danish, there was people was hired behind the curtain, basically that didn't pass the selection or whatever, but they were still hired. And every group leader was Danish, and there's like this old African way, or African saying. It's like whenever a particular family or whatever gets to the power, it's their time to eat. So I started comparing that this is now Danish time to eat. But there was like really good guys recruited from the selection through like really super professional guys from former operators from Frogman Corp and Jäger Corps who had no intention to take part of that what the actual leadership does or did.
So you don't really last that long there in that environment.
No, and then there's kind of like this thing that different cultures don't actually the work ethic and how people are not like pulling the same rope. Let's say it like that. It's kind of like everyone is just playing for themselves, which is absurd. But yeah, it was. I had some good gigs and I had some bad gigs, and I also understood the level of things, how European Union works, and it is not very pleasant to understand.
Surprise.
Yes, and it's not like how things work or don't work, and how money is spent, and what kind of risks people are willing to take just to take a picture. I was sent to Karachi. I was sent to whatever it was called, other side of the border of Jalalabad, the most hostile place in the world for the Westerner to be. To recce without any weapons, just two of us. So I had to go and ask my local contact to fill up the car with AKs and PKMs and helmets and whatever. It's like, this is legal. I was like, nobody gives a fuck. If ISIS is gonna attack, nobody's actually asking what kind of a weapon we fired back. So I'd rather stay in a Pakistani jail than to be shot or be decapitated on the road. So you had to do some things in
Hairy stuff.
in your own way. But good things, and paycheck is really good. It's tax-free, family allowance, medical allowance, school allowance. Children can study in the top school in Europe. And
So that set you in a good way financially, or no?
Yeah, but basically the thing is kind of like when I started working over there, my wife stayed home so it would be easier for kids to adapt. And she also started to study a new master's degree in the Turku University for the future science. So she stayed home. So there was only one people bringing money in home. The cost in living in Brussels in a really good area, it's quite expensive, as you probably heard. I know. But financially, it is good. It's like 10,000 euros in hand or more if you do overtime or if you have daily allowance of doing stuff. But yeah.
So what made you quit that thing? You got enough of that shit?
Yeah, it's basically when we moved, we already started at the same year. We founded up the Polar Apex. So basically, this Polar Apex stole my thunder, so to speak, if we're gonna use that term like in French. Yeah. So I was really psyched to start that, but then when this started up and then it went like bypass lane, things happened fast. So I was in the loop of doing 2 jobs. When everyone else went to bed in, let's say, like in Hong Kong or whatever, I opened up my computer and started working. And I did that for 2 years. So, and that was quite rough. And then my wife graduated from the university, applied for the job for the European Commission. But just before she was selected, I applied for the parenting leave. In the European Union, you can apply a parenting leave until your youngest one is 12. And they will pay you 3,500 euros or whatever in a month for the parenting leave, which is quite good compared to what you get from Estonia or Finland. So staying home.
And how long do they do that?
12 months you can
12 months?
Yeah.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, so at the time I was home, working full-time already as a Polar Apex CEO. We were shortly after that we were funded, fastest funded startup in the Finnish history. So I could actually start lifting something. I didn't lift any salary. My wife actually invoiced the company for doing the administrative job. So we managed to get along. So, but yeah, eventually, if I would change the teams, I could probably be able to work at least 1 year more over there. But eventually, I would still be here sitting in this same lousy office in Espoo, which I am now at the moment still. But yeah, that I didn't have more room for my head to do something else because this observes everything that I'm all time, every second of my day, 360 days, 65 days in a year.
And at the same time, you've always been into sports, I see.
Yeah.
So what's your goals there? What are you doing? You're doing those fat camps all the time, right?
Yeah. It's my own own trademark. So now it's just camp because I'm considering I have some kind of a eating disorder because I consider myself as a fat at the moment. But that's because I've been traveling. I've been home 11 days this year. I've been traveling around the world at the moment, and there's no ending until maybe in the midsummer.
You're deployed.
I'm deployed, yeah. But I do enjoy doing sports because it's my way of dealing stress as well. But last year I had a really good year and a half. I had really good row going on. Basically, like I managed to do 1 or 2 exercises a day and still able to do all my job really well. but I had less traveling, which is all, like good.
Yeah,
But
traveling sucks.
Traveling sucks, and you can still do your things, but 80% of my training is zone 2 training, which is running or basically by riding a bike on zone 2, so I can actually keep up my fitness level and still elevate my capability of handling like tiredness, getting tired. But then all, maybe I could do like on the weeks when I really did training before like October, when I broke my tendons in my left ankle, I did like 16, 18 hours a week, which 80% was riding a bike and running, and then all of the rest was just lifting heavy weights. And I could just eat a lot, enjoy a beer, and do things. And now I'm just eating a lot, enjoying a beer, but no hours I'm putting in. But I'm gonna set it up straight, because I had my personal goal that I would be the fittest ever on my 50s, which is this year. I'm still able to do it, but I need some support from the company as well, so I can actually hit it.
And also, how do you end up in the TV for the show?
The TV show was kind of like a long project. I think we started promoting that maybe 7 years ago, something like that. Maybe the previous dudes they had done maybe 3 seasons, something like that. And we had like these friends in the Finnish like producing company over here who had the rights to represent the brand. Now we did some like these short demo or whatever they're called, like trailers, whatever. And every year they try to sell it, but no, not one of the channels, which is basically there's two good channels. It's Nelon and Channel 4 and Channel 3 in Finland, which are like the one with the money and the capability of doing things. They didn't bought it, so it took, I guess, 5 years. And after 5 years, they told us, okay, we will buy 1 season. And then we did the season 1, which is now, is it like 4 years ago already? I guess, because there was 1 year in between that we didn't do anything. And now we have done like 3 seasons. The latest one will be published it starts on TV on 18th. And now it's done in a really huge budget, like the biggest one in Finnish history, I guess. And without seeing anything, they already bought 2 new seasons, which will be filmed on May and June, back to back. There's 1 week between that. So that's quite a rough for us, because the working hours for us is also like 16, 15 hours a day. When the candidates go to bed, we have to still do filming and interviews and
absolutely,
these meetings and whatever. So, but it's a good thing, because we are really complete control of who stays and who leaves, and the producing company doesn't set the rules, because we have this contract and this is, we agreed of doing these things.
On your terms.
On our terms, and it's actually quite fun, because I actually go to the not the completely instructor mode, but it's kind of like a war exercise mode for myself. So
it's like a vacation, going back to doing the things you like the most.
So it's actually really refreshing. When I started the filming the season 3 last, what it was like September, like I was already in a really stressful situation. Like my face was really red, like skin was coming off, like these symptoms, like and when I came back, my wife was like, "Well, dude, you look completely different. Like you look normal." So like yeah, but I was in the 2 weeks of holiday, basically doing stuff.
Absolutely.
So, and it only took like 3 days, and then she came back from the work. She's like, "No, now you look the same."
You're back.
Thanks. But
it's good to have those moments where you can actually go back and jump, like turn back time in history, kind of. Be a young man for a few weeks.
Yeah, and it's fun, and I enjoy doing it. So.
Well, then the outcome also can be good if you're enjoying it.
Yeah, everyone is enjoying it, and it's really everyone, like the whole producing staff people, all the cameramans, and
especially the participants, right?
Yeah, I think it's people don't understand what it is. Everyone thinks that it's still when they came, like the competitors or candidates for the season 3, they everyone thought that it's not that bad that it actually looks. But
it is even worse.
In the first day, in the first hours, they understand that this is much worse than they ever anticipated that it would be.
It's only fun in retrospect.
Yeah.
When you're looking it back.
Yeah.
And it's done.
Yeah.
Then it's cool.
Then it's cool.
If you're in that moment, it just sucks.
Yeah, but it's kind of like the things that I learned in SF. It's kind of like there's a difference between doing sports and training. Training is never fun.
Yeah.
So that's what.
It's not supposed to be fun.
It's not supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be that you're.
It's supposed to be good.
Yeah, but you have to be out of your own comfort zone.
Absolutely, otherwise it's pointless.
Yeah. Well, then it's doing sports. It can be.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do sports by doing downhill skiing, or doing downhill skiing. It depends on what are you doing, but it's completely like that. Just like my son, who's telling me that what do you know about football? He's playing football in Belgium. It's like I don't know anything about football, but I know how athletes are built, and not one of your superstars would last 1 month in a unit where you have to be 365 days in a shape that you're 100% operational. So it's a different kind of a mentality when you take away and strip away your all like your sleep or your really good food and training schedules or whatever, and you still have to be able to do those things. Then
these are the true Special Olympics.
Yeah, these are the true Special Olympics. But yeah, that's what happens over there for the many athletes that come to the show. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, we saw it similar in terms of selection. Like it's very difficult to really understand who passes and why. Yeah. Because there is a sportsman who's supposed to pass but they don't, and there is a person who shouldn't pass and they do.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever it is, there is something in between their ears.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah. So we have been rumbling for 3 hours almost.
Yeah, time goes fast.
I know. So what would you say? What's like looking back? I don't know. What are a few main ideas which keeps you going? What are some major things that you have learned now as you are an old man?
Yeah. Well, nothing beats hard work. That's the one thing that I've learned. Also, the thing as an entrepreneur, if everything is about the money, it shows what you do. So there's no soul or whatever. Everyone can sense that. So for me, for example,
intent has a smell.
Yes. So for me, for example, the thing is like obviously I'm not doing it for the charity. But the thing is like I'm psyched to be part of the company who's creating end user products that actually protects the end users and give like extraordinary operational capability with massively, you can't actually put a price on that. So
it makes a difference.
Makes a difference, and that's something that those things, and then you are as good as the people who you surround yourself. And maybe 3 takeaways that I can give. So if you surround yourself with the wrong kind of people, it doesn't matter. They don't have to be criminals or whatever, but it's just the attitude of
Yeah.
the people. If you surround yourself with that kind of a people, then
You become one.
you become one. Yeah.
I agree.
You have to be withstand enviness and stuff like that, even that you haven't really delivered anything special yet, but you end up losing those people who you would lose anyway. So so that's the thing. So nothing beats hard work, and surround yourself with the people who you want.
So we say
who you want to become.
Like we say, like in our company, like how do you get combat ready? You need to have people with the right mindset.
Yeah.
You have to have strong relationships, and then you have a purposeful, continuous training.
Yeah.
That equals a possibility for someone to be ready for combat.
Yeah.
And if you have those dudes around you, and you do the right things, then you may call yourself, or others may call you elite, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. So what's next for Jan in general? What's next for you?
Well, next I'll do the 2 seasons of filming this year. I'll keep hammering the company, growing it up rapidly. Things are moving really fast, which I can't address over here at the moment, but major things is happening. So probably we've been in the fairs now, but let's put it like that. I don't have to be anymore in the side areas of the fairs. Next big fairs that we're gonna be, it's Millipoli, and there we're gonna have 3 separate brands underneath one stand, which is gonna be a really centralized place, which requires a lot of money, a lot of power, a lot of visibility. So growing up the company is my end game. Hopefully, if everything goes well and things starts to happen as I think they will, maybe in the next 2 years, maybe I can. My aim is to be retired as I would be retired in age of 55. But if I can do it earlier, if God is willing, then I'll do it.
And by retiring, you mean you start doing some other stupid shit?
Yes, I don't think, my wife is always laughing that you will never retire. But let's put it like that I would have enough financial freedom to do whatever I want.
You have a pile of FU money.
Yeah. In case of the things which motivates me, it's me creating memories with my children. For creating memories that last forever. Sometimes it requires money, sometimes it don't. But if you have it, then at least you can create something that lasts for a lifetime.
Well, I agree.
Yeah.
So that sounds like an awesome plan. So I think that people can follow you on Instagram and everywhere like that, right?
Yeah. They can find me in my it's Jan Knutti. And LinkedIn as well, but I've been really poor in the LinkedIn, but we should step it up the game a bit again.
So definitely, if someone wants to buy good shit from good people, from quality stuff, then they know who to turn to.
Yeah, and we don't sell private persons. We only deal with the distributors or dealers, or mostly we'll do government.
Well, the people who actually need those things.
Yes, government.
Like the civilians don't really need those things.
No, they don't.
So yeah, man, thank you for your service. Thank you for everything what you've done. It's awesome what you're doing, and I'm sure we will meet somewhere along the way.
We will meet here in Finland and Estonia in the near future. I'm
absolutely.
sure of that. Okay, thank you.
All right, take care.
You too. Bye.